And thank you, Dr. Holzeken and Dr. Elmendorf, for being with us today. Obviously, these are unprecedented times in our nation, as evidenced by the fact that we're conducting this hearing from various parts of our country. The coronavirus is the worst public health crisis Americans have experienced in decades. It has led to challenges at all levels, including a sharp deterioration in our economy. The unemployment rate, for example, has quadrupled since February. But as Americans, I have no doubt we will not only defeat the virus, but we will return our economy to the boom we were experiencing earlier this year. Everyone here agrees that when a crisis occurs, the federal government has to act. And the federal government has acted. Since the pandemic attacked our nation, Congress has enacted a staggering $2.4 trillion in coronavirus relief funding. Federal Reserve has protected the financial system and lowered rates. The administration is rolling back burdensome regulations that impede efforts to combat the coronavirus. Today, we are here to discuss the economic impacts of the pandemic and the steps we must take to ensure our nation is fiscally solvent. There are several things going through my mind on how to move forward. First, how do we make sure that the policies we enact are doing everything possible to defeat the virus, to boost the economy, and to get Americans back to work? Second, how do we make sure that we avoid adopting policies that do more harm than good? For example, although well-intentioned, I have heard firsthand from small businesses about how additional unemployment benefits have kept people home instead of on the payroll. As we work to reopen the economy, we should reanalyze policies with these types of unintended consequences in mind. Third, how do we balance the responsible use of taxpayer dollars with addressing the challenges we face? The $2.4 trillion in financial relief is not free money. These are taxpayer dollars that will, at the end of the day, ultimately need to be paid back to the U.S. Treasury. Future generations will bear that burden. What's particularly frustrating to me is that during normal times, we fail to do our job. We fail to pass a budget, to put our country on a fiscally sustainable path, or even do a budget at all. That's right. We as the Budget Committee didn't do our job before the pandemic. Will we rise to the occasion and make the tough, critical choices that our constituents sent us to Washington to make? I believe now's the time for us to actually do our work. After incorporating the effects of the coronavirus and associated legislation, CBO is now projecting a deficit of $3.7 trillion for fiscal 20, which would be by far the highest deficit recorded in U.S. history. It's imperative that policymakers establish and enforce policies guiding fiscal responsibility as subsequent COVID-19 relief bills are considered. If we'd been doing our job all along, funding the crisis would not have been as daunting to our fiscal future. We cannot keep getting away from doing our job, especially when we are in normal times. Today, I look forward to hearing from both of our esteemed witnesses. Tomorrow, I look forward to beginning the task at hand as we, as members of the Budget Committee, address the deficit and debt faced by our nation. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I'm glad to yield back the balance of my time.
I thank the ranking member for his opening statement, and if any other members